Welcome to Timberborn and the settlement of the Steeltide. We're playing the Terraces map on hard mode, and things are about to get interesting. So as you can see, our colony is doing pretty well, and with it we've got resources, and that means it's time to start building stranger things. In this episode, we're going to pressurize our main water source and make a bad water diversion system buried deep underground. We're also going to build a giant new dam with a tunnel underneath for the main river to flow through. Going into this episode, there's a couple things on my mind. First off, you can see that we've got our aqueduct that finished last episode. And when we finished that, we started construction of this new dam. And with it, I think we have the option of bringing life to the rest of this valley. Unfortunately, there is one big risk to us investing in this valley, and that's the bad tides. They're going to come through occasionally, and they're just going to douse bad water all through this main river. And if we look upriver on our base, that is actually even worse because our bad water diversion system right here is going to contribute to the problem. It's just going to dump everything into that river. So that is one of the things that I want to figure out if we can fix this episode. The other thing I'm looking at is expanding the colony in different directions. So you'll notice that I've occasionally got beavers with all these status ailments around. And that's because I've built all of this colony as one giant colony. There's no districts. Now, eventually we're going to have to solve that. I'm not sure if it's going to be this episode, but I should consider building in the opposite direction, right? Like our city center and our housing is right here. It probably would be efficient to start exploring in the other direction too. As I start building more and more complicated things though, there are two things that I really want to unlock. I want a lot more TNT than what we've already got. And then I also want to unlock dirt so we can start terraforming. Now, for our TNT, we've already got one TNT production down here, but it is really not producing as much as I would like. So we could add a second one in here. We're just short of power. So I think we could rearrange things just a little bit to unlock space in here. So let's say I put down some TNT here. And if I detonated that, I could extend our road just ever so slightly so that I could get rid of this very odd intersection. With that built, we can now get rid of that funky road, and now we've got a 3 wide space. So that's going to be big enough that we could potentially put another engine right across here. But before we do that, we need to actually get this connected with power. So the other technique I'm going to use is I'm going to put down TNT underneath everything so I can run some power lines. And since everything is not running anyways, we'll also get in another TNT factory here. With that TNT placed, we'll detonate it. Hopefully no beavers go through there while it's detonating. And then we can put down the vertical power shafts to connect everything. Place everything in, and then put down some platforms. And then from there, we should be able to just put our engines right back on top. Just like that, and put the roads back. And if we're going to be producing way more explosives, we should probably have more storage for it. So let's destroy our existing storage there and plop down a large warehouse for it instead. And that is looking pretty good. They should finish that warehouse pretty soon. Another thing we could do at a later point is replace these with large tanks. They would both fit in there side by side. We could also potentially put in another centrifuge. But for now, let's leave that and go look at our dirt. I'd like to save most of this valley for food later on, but maybe we can get away with extracting dirt just kind of in this corner back here. If we were to stack them there. Well, I'm thinking that we could put 2 of them side by side here. The only catch is we need to power these somehow. I think we can get away with just one engine. So if we're to stick, say, an engine there, that would be sufficient for both. And that is connected right there. Next thing we're going to need is storage. So unfortunately, we don't have an underground storage like we do for the folktale. So we're going to have to stack multiple of these large industrial warehouses. I'm thinking if we did something like that, we could make it so you could access both of them at the same time. So if we imagine a road comes in this way, we could connect that way, could connect all the way down to these other storage bins, and then we can connect up here. And that's because the entrance for these dirt excavators is all on the second floor. So we'll make sure all of that storage is configured for dirt and bump up the priority to construct these guys. And hopefully that's going to be an okay location for this. It is close enough to the extract, which is needed for the dirt excavator, so hopefully it's going to work out okay. These are also going to suck up all of our treated planks that we've got, which now that I noticed, our treated planks are maxed off. We should probably put more storage for them because I'm guessing that these workshops are basically idle. So we can put down at least one more treated plank. Those are expensive buildings to be keeping idle. Things in the colony are looking pretty good. We've got 10 more days left in this drought. We've got our dirt excavation going. I can see our explosives factories are all producing fine. And we've got our dam here looking pretty good. I think this dam is going to finish up before this cycle ends. Now, given that they've got 2 major construction efforts going, I'm going to wait for a couple of these to clear before we start something new. Well, it's been a couple days, and they're getting pretty close to completing this. The only thing that's taking a while is metal blocks, and that may actually be a while yet. Let's lower the priority one of these. We'll get the engine online first. That should unblock everything else. And yeah, we're just going to have to wait. Now, as for our dam, it's looking pretty good. It is just slow because it cannot be built in parallel, because this odd diagonal shape. But I do have another side task that we can do that does not use any of our vital resources, and that's up here. So last episode I filled in this new lake so that we could start growing more trees, but I was in such a rush I didn't build any bad water diversion system for it. So come the bad tide, which could happen in say 12 days, this is all going to become bad water. So I figured that we could start setting up a diversion system here. A really easy one, where we have some sluice gates on this segment, then we could replace some sluice gates down here. I don't care if this is green for right now, so it is okay to delete some of these. This is going to cause all this water to drain off. And then I'm going to have to put, it's interesting, you can't put sluice gates at the edge because the teeth will apparently stick off. But I could put some in just one level, apparently. It's kind of annoying, but that'll work. And I'm going to bump all of that up in priority. The annoying ones will be those sluice gates, because they do take a little bit of metal, and that is what we're running low on. So speaking of metal blocks, let's take a look at our smelters to see what is up. See why they're so slow. And if I look here, you can see the productivity on these buildings is really low. We've got 50, 20, 60... So, for example, let's take a look at this guy. We're going to monitor what he's doing that's taking so long. Well, he is getting scrap really close, so that is fine. It is annoying that he's doing it on his own instead of haulers grabbing stuff, so we could make sure that haulers are prioritizing these buildings. I'm guessing it could be logs. There isn't a great log supply out here, so I'm guessing these guys were walking maybe across the map to the nearest log depot, which is probably up here. Or probably over here. Some of this, there should be a log depot in here too. For this guy, these 2 buildings over here, I'm surprised they have a low productivity too. I do notice they don't have scrap metal. I'm guessing what's happening for them is they're walking all the way over here to grab scrap metal from these buildings. And I'm guessing this could be addressed in the future with additional haulers. For example, if I look over at our hauler hut up here, we've only got 2. One of them is fully staffed, and the other one's low priority, and it is not. That's probably what's causing a big delay. Well, maybe we can start breeding some additional beavers to account for that. We can throw in another 2 breeding pods, see if that can help boost the population, and then when they come, we can dedicate them to these hauling posts. Another thing that probably is a culprit is these are just so far away. We should have a different district over here and just cart in food and supplies so that the workers can just live here, but just not yet. I don't think we have enough haulers to pull off all of that. 4 days left in the drought, and things are looking pretty good. We should finish this diversion system over here. I can see these sluice gates are already done. And if I take a peek at our main valley, looks like our new main dam is going to be done, and I can see we've got the first signs of dirt excavation going on. And that should start digging a hole right here. So with that, there is something else I would like to start planning. It's going to be difficult to do it with such a short period in our dry season, but we'll see what we can do. So one of the things that I don't like with our current setup is that our bad water diversion system dumps the bad water right down into this river. And this river goes under there and then pollutes the whole valley when a bad tide is present. I think instead, what I would like to do is pipe it off the edge of the map. One of the things I've noticed with bad water is if you put it down deep enough, it will not pollute the terrain surrounding it. So what I'm wondering is we could potentially make a pipe deep under the ground and shuttle it all the way off the map over here. Now, unfortunately, that is going to take a little bit of finagling to get done. So the first thing we should do is we're going to have to tear out a couple of these trees to make space for that tunnel. And then on top of that, I think we're going to have to dynamite as much space as we possibly can to make this super deep. In fact, I'm probably going to have to temporarily disable this bridge to get everything under there. But for now, let's just get some of this TNT planted. It's going to be very disruptive. So you can see here, what I'm trying to do is make this channel as deep as I possibly can. I want it basically to touch the bottom of the map. And I'm going to do that all the way across, all the way down here. And I'm going to do that in stages, just because it's kind of a logistics pain, because I'm dynamiting on top of the road. And again, the goal of doing that is once it gets the height difference between the bad water at the bottom and soil at the top is so high, the bad water can't affect it. So that's why I'm going so deep underground. As I'm working on that, it looks like the drought came to a close. Let's take a little peek across the map to see how we're doing. Well, we did finish our diversion system over here. How about our dam? Oh, look at that. That is looking pretty good. We've got this all nice and completed, so we should be able to fill this part all the way up to the top now. So let's see, how high could we take that? Well, we'll set it to that height. I'm not sure if we'll actually have the time to fill it that way, but we'll do it. I'll also make sure we resume our pumping during the wet season. And other than that, I think we do have some dirt finally starting to collect. We've got 72 dirt, so I'll let them do their thing. And we're starting to finally stockpile some explosives despite all our using them. Well, since that is looking okay, let's continue our excavation work down here. So we've got the next round of TNT. And let's see, how deep will it let me go? So you can see here, it won't let me put another triple dynamite down because I'll be off the edge of the map. In fact, I can't put any more TNT down. This is it. That is as deep as we are allowed to go. So I think at this point, it's okay to put some of our pipe down. So for the pipe, what I'm going to do is put down some platforms, and I don't want the water to go too high. So I think what we can do is put down some impermeable floors on top. And then if we want to be able to actually use this as a walking space afterwards, we can just put some platforms on top. And we're going to start repeating some of that process down here. This is going to be a little bit messy, but we'll just do it bit by bit. In fact, the part that I am not looking forward to doing, though I think I do need to do it, is to destroy these stairs. Ugh, this is a logistics nightmare for those beavers. Oh, you should really get off of there before I destroy this. All of you should not be on these stairs when I destroy this. I'm making their walk kind of awful. And the part I'm not looking forward to is I'm going to have to destroy this bridge at some point. All that work for that bridge, and I'm going to have to redo it. We'll save that one to last, though, because that's going to be so disruptive. Now, we're on day 2 of the wet season, and I am noticing that this water is moving very, very fast in the aqueduct. And that's something I need to be careful of, because the reason that is moving so fast is all our water is coming down here to fill out our new kind of side dam. And that's coming at the expense of filling up our water supply down here. So what we can do is we can make sure that we have water flowing down there in competition, but I'm going to temporarily increase these floodgates up high. And what that's going to do is stop water from flowing down here, because the sluice gates are just going to keep on dumping water as quickly as they can. If this gets full, which it should in probably like 2 or 3 days, then we can start letting water flow out of here again. Because otherwise we would have a little bit of a mini disaster on our hands, because we'd have a bunch of water saved up, but not in a location we could actually make use of it. Also, where are you going? That is a very dizzy road. Oh, I feel bad for these guys. They're probably realizing this is a good shortcut to get to some of that metal block. Well, I'll leave it for now, but eventually we should have a better road there. Back at our excavation, though, they are making progress with that new TNT. So we'll get another layer built. And I think this guy is down at the bottom, so that's good. So we can at least start making the pipe portion of that. Around, another segment to be buried. With this segment kind of built, we'll be able to restore that stairs, so we don't have to have people walking all the way around again. So the upside of this is I am really trying to bury this pipe so that you cannot see it. That's why I'm going through all this work of pushing it to the edge of everything. I think hopefully it will look pretty nice in the end. You shouldn't even know there's a bad water diversion system there. And the reason I want that is I want as much of this map green. I like that kind of mini challenge of making the map as green as you can. So as they work on that, how is our water doing? Well, pretty good. We're getting close to the end of day 3, and I can see that we're almost to the top here. So hopefully water should start filling up into our aqueduct again pretty soon. And then we can get back to filling up down here. And that's going to be vital because we've only got 3 days to a bad tide. Well, the bad news is that this pipe isn't going to be worth anything for this next part. I am glad that I left a little bit of space there so that this isn't going to fill with bad water just yet, but this investment up here was actually very timely. I'm glad we have this diversion system. Well, one thing I will do, since we are at night and everybody is not here, I'm going to temporarily destroy this bridge so that we can make the pipe flow underneath it. So hopefully I can remember how to construct it, because all of that is going away. Okay, that makes me sad, but it is gonna be coming back. We'll just rush getting all this dynamite as quickly as we can, and we can get back to this edge of the map, because there's no way over here now. We've got a very half-completed bridge. I take it back, there was people down here. Well, we need to hurry, because he's starving and dehydrated. How did he even get back there? Okay, well, let's get this TNT as quickly as we can, because we need that bridge back. Actually, I doubt, now that I think of it, I doubt we're going to be able to get that bridge in time. Well, this is unfortunate, because I thought nobody was out there, but maybe we can do a temporary rescue effort in the meantime. So we'll put in a few extra stairs on the side here, and then this will connect up here. Kind of annoying side stairs, but it will have to do. And we'll see, maybe we'll get lucky and they can rush this bridge, but I have a feeling they won't be able to in time. Well, there's the final layer of TNT. This is very difficult to see what's going on down there, but now at least we can get the rest of that bridge constructed. So we'll put down the impermeable floor, put down some platforms, and now we can reconstruct what we used to have. Just like that. Okay, it's a race to see who's going to get access first to save these beavers. Either these platforms down here, or this whole stack here. They've still got a little bit of time left before they die. I think it's going to be this one. And there we go, that side stairs just finished. So these guys should be able to get home pretty soon. As soon as they realize it. Yeah, there they go. But with this, the bad tide is about to begin in the morning. Well, I got distracted with rescuing the beavers. I can see we did eventually top this off all the way. Our aqueduct started to go dry. I'll just get some down to this next stage, just so we get that pond topped off. If I had been more on top of it, we might have filled up more of this, but that's okay. And here comes the bad tide. What do we got? An 11-day bad tide. Not bad at all. We're probably going to lose some of these trees to the bad tide, but that's fine. Let's see, is our new bad water diversion system up here going to work okay? I think in the distant future, I'm going to move the diversion system up higher, just so we can keep this green, but this was a cheap way for now, since we're not really using this for anything else. Now, one thing I'm wondering with this, I didn't realize this is going to close, which it should close any moment now. This water is going to start backing up. Yeah, this is a downside with the... So let's pause for a second. This is a downside with the diversion system I devised here. This guy is only going to open when it gets polluted water. But this is still pristine water. Here, the bad water hasn't gotten here yet. So this water, having nowhere to go, is going to start overflowing. I should really have the diversion system side by side so that they get the signal at the same time. Now that's okay for now because I'm here. I can just manually open it and drain it, right? And so this will just stop the flow before it gets too bad. But yeah, this diversion system is only so-so. We'll have to fix it up a little bit more in the future. We got a little bit of polluted water that made it through this part, but it's going to get diluted so much in this big lake, it will be fine. Well, in the meantime, it looks like our bridge is getting close to being completed again. Let's continue working on our canal. Another round of explosives, and we're just going to keep on making this pipe. This part is a little bit annoying just because of all the stairways and the difference in height, but we'll almost be through it. We should be able to see that this pipe is all the way down and level. You see, everything is down at the lowest level we can possibly make it, and then we've got the impermeable floors right on top. So end game, my goal is to connect all of this with this right up here. So I'm going to make a pipe that runs all the way down this hillside, connects to here, and then runs bad water off the edge of the map, keeping it as far as I can away from everything else. Of course, we still have to do something about this other bad water source all the way up here, because otherwise it's just going to come through here too. So we'll have to come up with some plan for it too. For now, let's get at least this pipe all finished. For a couple of days of busy work, I think we're almost down to the tail end of this pipe. So we've gotten this dynamited all the way to the bottom of the map. So we're going to run one last stretch. So same thing, we're going to put the platforms, some impermeable floors on top, and then we're just going to fill in the rest with regular platforms. So with that all set up, let's get them building that. Now we do have something we're going to have to figure out over here, which is how to get this underneath here. I think we're going to have to eventually make a temporary wall here so I don't drain the lake when I do this construction. Luckily, it's not that tall, so maybe we can just do something like that. Yeah, we'll just temporarily dam that off like this, and then we can make use of a little road on the edge to get around. While they're laying dynamite here, we should start looking at the second set of this plan, which is to connect this source up here with the pipe. And I think to do that, we're going to have to dynamite all of this layer all the way down to below here. And I wonder if I can I set dynamite here? Yeah, we can start setting that dynamite up. I think the beavers should be able to get up here and put it down from up above. So we'll get working on that too. We've got a day left in this bad tide, and I think we've more or less finished the end of the pipe here. So now that this is capped off, I think I can drain it without fear of draining the entire lake, and then we can just finish up our last round of dynamite. Bad tide over. That was a pretty uneventful one. Oh, and you know, I am actually draining this lake. I forgot. These don't have impermeable floors on it, so there is a layer underneath everything that is draining underneath. Right here, this layer doesn't have impermeable floors, so the water is going underneath this wall that I just spent all that time working on. Well, it is a good thing that we're back in the wet season then, because this won't be for long. Well, this was an entire waste of time. We'll get them to rush finish that other stuff, and we can just tear out all of this. And with that final piece dynamited away, we can now see our pipe all the way down through all that distance. So we'll just cap it off. And unlike the other parts, here, anything above this, we're actually going to have to make solid. We can't be cheap like we were before. So this is going to have to be levees all the way up there, as well as with our double floodgate. And we'll have to see if we can finish this within the short period that we've got for this wet season, because this lake is all draining out through that area. We can also fix up here. I'm going to manually close everything and open this area so we can get water flowing back into the lake. Okay, this lake should be nice and sealed again. Yeah, that's nice and solid. And looking over here, we should start getting water coming back into the lake to fill it up. With probably at least 3 or 4 more days left of this wet season, we should get that topped off. I do see this holding water. Okay, good. So let's take a look back over at our main dam here to figure out what we're going to do to connect it with this pipe. So first, let's get this dirt all the way down flush with there. I think the other thing we're going to do is we need to make the channel through here. So if the idea is that we have a pipe that runs all the way down here, eventually it's going to end up in the middle here. And maybe we can have it jut to the side and go right here. So we're going to need TNT right there. We'll get a little staircase down there so they can work. Now this is also going to call for 2 things. One, I've got to tear down this part of the wall so I can build the pipe. The second thing is this water cannot fall down that quickly. And so if I only had one pipe on its own, the bad water during a bad season isn't going to be able to flow through the pipe quickly enough So what I think we'd also have to do once, as a final step for all this, is we'd have to cap off this water source and seal it off entirely with impermeable floors. I think that's going to create basically like a pressure point for it, where it's gonna, the only option it has is to flow through the pipe. I think, you know, now that I think of it too, another option would have been just to seal it on its own and not provide any outlet. I think that's another way of getting around a bad season, is you could just like top it off. I don't know. I feel a little bit bad about doing that. I like the actual challenge in this case of trying to divert it. Oh, this is interesting. This guy can build this because it's underneath him. Huh. That's really odd. Like, normally I expect them to build underneath them to the side, but there's all this stuff in between him and this, and he could build it from here. I guess it makes sense from the rule point of view. I just never realized that before. Well, we'll continue with the dynamiting here. Get that as deep as we can. The other thing I'd like to experiment with is having an inlet into this pipe via this other river here. I'm going to try something. I'm going to see if I can make multiple entrances into the pipe with sluice gates. So we'll start with trying to dynamite as much as we can here. So we'll just keep on making this deeper for these two segments. And what I really need is a long segment of a dry season so that I can basically destroy all of this to get the last bit of pipe laid. The other thing I am noticing is we have a lot of injured beavers. Look at that. 14 injured beavers, and that's got to be from our heavy industry. I think especially probably these dirt excavators, they must be hurting a lot of beavers in there. I do notice we're almost to the most dirt we can store, so maybe this will be a non-issue soon enough. I think given all this though, we need more hospital beds. Because all our hospital beds are full, this is kind of putting a damper on our productivity. Put in another stack of hospital beds. I feel really bad having to do that. And then maybe we can put a few shrubs behind there so they get at least a little bit of a perk. Yeah, to address that, eventually we're going to have to introduce bots. That's going to be what will let us get beavers out of working in dangerous situations. Okay, with most of this laid, let's figure out what we're going to do for that last segment of pipes. Well, we know that this segment right here is going to need something on top like that. Now, what I'm wondering is if I could make sluice gates here that would feed into it. Yeah, just like that. And then we could continue with a little bit more dynamite. And if that's going to be laid like that, we could put some platforms on top just so the builders can get to it. And a 25-day drought. Well, actually, I am liking that quite a bit. We are going to drain a lot of water. And I am noticing we go through water a lot quicker now that our population has been booming, but this should give us some time to finish up our pipe structure here. I think we're going to use a big chunk of all of this time. So let's take a look over at our main water supply here. Sluices should be one way, so I think I am safe to just completely destroy this whole segment right here. We'll lose some of the water, but it's going to be limited to this little segment here. And now we need to start putting in some TNT for this all the way down to make that pipe. For the TNT, this would be a lot easier if we could access it from above. I'm trying to think of the best way to pull that off. Well, at least until we get everything kind of situated, I think what I could do is build a platform, and then they could build underneath the platform. And that should let them build in both sections here and here. For the pipe section itself, I think where the pipe is going to flow is going to be this column right here. It's going to go all the way down and connect here. So this sluice gate is not going to exist. This is going to be where it will connect. So I think that means we're going to need a little impermeable floor there. And then this should block water from escaping, but then we would need probably some dirt or something right here. Actually, no, we could put another gate right there as another entryway for bad water into the pipe. So I think we just need to get the beavers dynamiting this part. The other part we're going to need to figure out is how to get water into the actual pipe. So if this is the area that is flowing downward, maybe what we could do is put a sluice gate here, and then this is the entryway into it. Goes our first round of dynamite, and then we should just continue that all the way down. All right, After a few rounds of TNT, I think we've got everything excavated here. Unfortunately, there was a little mishap in the process, and we started to drain some of our lake. This is pretty funny because what ended up happening is if you look in our pipe, there's actually two layers to our pipe. There is this part, which is filled with water, and then there's the pipe underneath everything else, which is ultimately going to have the bad water in there. Water was flowing through the top layer, getting into this little area here, going back into these sluice gates, and then going all the way back down the pipe. So the good news is it proved that our pipe worked. The downside is we lost a little bit of water in the process. And the way I got around that is I just put a bunch of levees right here to block everything off. Now, with everything else shaping up though, with this destroyed, we are able to put in our plan for what the actual pipe portion will look like. So this part up here is going to go all the way up to the surface. This part, where it was too deep, this is the part that is going to hold and connect to the pipe. And I don't think I need to do that, but I'm going to put an impermeable floor there. I don't think I need to do that, but just in case, because I don't want to have to redo this later. Now that could go all the way back up to the surface. And for this portion, what we're going to do, since water can flow through those, I'm going to make it flush like that. And then we're going to put a sluice gate here, and then we're going to put impermeable floors on top like that, so that otherwise water can't just get into the pipe except through this gate. And you can see with all our beavers and the fact that they can build in parallel, that wall is going up pretty quick. The other thing I'm going to do down here is I'm going to try to make additional edges in places where water can fall. And the goal with this is I'm trying to make sure that water could flow down quickly to get down there. So I'm just kind of giving it some contours to increase the number of edges where water could fall down. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be, but we'll see. The other thing we can do while we've got spare beavers is I will see about putting sluice gates up here. And these ones would only let water through when it's not contaminated. And there is a setup for our pipe. In fact, it barely took any time at all. I was expecting this long vertical stack to take a super long time, but it didn't take much time at all. So we'll just cap this off, and I think we've got a potential bad water diversion system underground now. Now, while I've still got 16 days roughly in this drought, I want to make another pipe. Since we're here anyways, I want to make a pipe down underneath this road, but for good water, so that we have an option to carry it somewhere else in the map under pressure. So if we're going to do this, we're going to need to kind of move things around. So I'm going to take this opportunity to tear out a couple trees. Gonna have to make another staircase if we're going to need to get up there. And then we'll temporarily delete these other ones. And then I'm also going to run a row of TNT down here. And that's going to be for the pipe. We're going to need to tear out this wall and eventually rebuild it. So we'll put another platform up here just for the duration. Well, I think we're going to need at least these two to be destroyed. And this one destroyed as well. Here's where it's going to get interesting. So the way this is going to work is there are going to be platforms down where the road would normally be. So water can flow through that. And here what we're going to need to do is set up a gate to let fresh water in. We can then seal it off with a few levees, complete the pipe on the outside, and just put all our levees back in place again all the way up to the top. So that should get all of those blocked off. And then we're going to continue with those impermeable floors all the way down here. We can now move our stairs back in place, and then the next thing we're going to need to do is, I think, cap this, because what we want is this to be under pressure so that water can't get out. So instead of platforms, I'm going to try to use our overhangs. I bet if I took overhangs like this, sealed it like this, and then put the impermeable floors on top of it, that's going to make this a sealed under pressure container. So when it's good water, we have two exits here and this one going under the road. And then when it's a bad water, the only one that's going to let things in is the one underneath. This little one right here is the only one that's going to open. And that, of course, if I look down underneath, is going to connect to our very long pipe all the way down and off the edge of the map. And you can see the entryway for other bad water right on the side here. And with that, there goes in the final touches for this pipe. And we've still got, 11 days in this drought to do things with. So there are a couple things I could do for the rest of the drought. First option is maybe unlocking bots. Bots would alleviate some of our pressure off of water because they do not drink. The other thing I could do is continue to expand some of our water storage. I think I'm going to do the water storage first, and then we're going to come back to bots. So for the next set of water storage, I was kind of eyeing this canyon here. I thought this canyon would be kind of interesting to make storage with. But I don't want to just make it like a dam where I just dam off the two edges of it. I want to make it so that I have a bridge or a tunnel for the river to continue to flow through. And above that arch, I've got kind of a second lake situated on top. I think that would be kind of interesting to look at. So what I am thinking is we could make a little bit of an archway across the canyon. Something like that. Okay, that looks interesting to me. I'd also like this to look a little imposing. So what I'm going to do is leave two little lips in the wall. And then we could potentially put statues right on the edge of them. So it kind of looks, I don't know, like something out of Lord of the Rings. We've got the beaver statues going into the river. Yeah, that looks kind of interesting. I won't build those just yet, but I think that will be the plan. Now, if that's the archway, I need to make that platform cover all the way to, let's say, like here. Well, we'll need some stairs down here to actually do some damage. So let's make a little platform. And then we'll also need, I guess, some stairs over on this other side too. That should get the builders down here, but now we got to figure out the arch. I like it more when it's built into the actual wall. So in that case, maybe here. And maybe we can make this just a little bit easier to work with by putting in some soil there. And if this is the area where we're going to be actually making the arch, maybe we can make some TNT here. We'll start lowering that to see what it would look like. While we wait for that soil to go in, let's take a peek back at the other side and figure out how we're going to put in the rest of the foundation of this dam. So what I'm thinking is, instead of continuing the arch all the way down, we could simplify it and just put in long platforms on either side that connect. When you look down the length of the dam, you're not really going to notice it. It's going to be hidden. So if that's the case, what we're going to need to do is basically run down the lengths of this canyon and make sure we have a lip everywhere so we can put those platforms in place. Let's get the arch on the other side planned. Now, I think I could just make a much smaller arch, repeat the same kind of lip so we can have statues, and I think that should line up with the height on the other end now. For a few rounds of boring TNT work, I think I've got the stage set to actually make the foundation in here. So you can see what I've done is I've gone through the edges of this canyon and I've dynamited columns down all the way to the height that these first arches are. Now, I think what we could do now is just go through all of those spaces and put platforms. So for example, if I put platforms all the way down here, oh, it looks like we've got one little space to fill. But we should be able to, I think, fill in, provided I didn't make any other mistakes, all of these locations. There we go. Okay, so other than that little spot here, I think I've got 100% coverage. It's unfortunate. We might have to just stack some dirt there to get it complete. Then we can put some platforms in the last little places here and there. The next problem we've got to solve is that the heights on this dam are different on either side. Instead of making two layers to this dam, what I'm going to do is just extend the height of the dam on the far side. So we should be able to just put in some levees, stack them up, and then put some scaffolding on top so it's quick to build. Okay, there we go. That should keep all the beavers busy. And we can enjoy this wet season to get everything filled back up. Now you can notice our main dam for water actually went dry in this, and that's because as we got close to the end, I saw we had extra, so I just turned on all the pumps. This part is still working okay, even though it's pressurized, because everything is flowing out. So you can see that starting to rise, and then it should be flooding down here to fill this area. So we'll get that flowing. Again, we'll prioritize this. Now, one thing I don't like is as our population has started to inch up into the 150, I need to keep more and more of our pumps going during the dry season. So we're getting to another point where we can't increase our population as much. I'm hoping that this extra supply of water is going to work for that, because this is close enough that I could use this for more. Oops, this should not be leaking. We're not ready for it yet. What I was saying earlier is that this is going to be a next potential area to pump from. And I can't push this much farther. I think between our 3 tanks, here for irrigation, here and here for water, this is probably going to be as far as I can push this little pitiful water support source in here. So we're really going to need to start branching out into the other water sources. These ones up here, this one looks like a great one given how much there is. And these guys are pretty tiny. They're not going to be super valuable for tons of water. Oh, bad tide. Okay, this is actually going to be great. We're going to be able to test out our new tide diversion system and see if it works. We've only got 3 days until the bad tide arrives though, but that should be enough to get everything topped off. We won't finish this in 3 days though. It is a very big stretch. As some of the platforms get placed though, we can afford to put down some stairs to get access to the bottom, and that's going to give us some space to put down the impermeable floors. Okay, things are starting to come together. So we've got half of the platforms built. And if we even peek down at the bottom here, we can look through the tunnel all the way to the other side. Here comes the bad tide. Okay, let's pause for a moment. Like before, I'm going to have to open these manually because I haven't got this fixed yet. For our main river, we've got a couple of things to look out for. Our main source is under pressure, so it should potentially use the pipe. If something goes wrong here, I can potentially just destroy these levees as a backup plan. The other thing I want to see is what happens with the bad source up here when this gets down to our pipe. I don't know if it's going to overwhelm the pipe or not. But let's take a look. Can we peek inside here? What's going on? Our sluice gate here is open. So does that mean our pipe is flowing? We go all the way down. Well, look at that. That looks like bad water. Yeah, that's bad water flooding through underneath our pipe. And if we're lucky, this will be too low under everything else that it's not going to kill all this green stuff on top. Off the edge of the map it goes. You can see it is getting to capacity. So you see it's almost hitting the top of what can be fit through one square. Oh, and we've got the rest of the river bad water hitting the pipe. Let's see what's going to happen. I have a feeling it might back up. Given that the pipe's already full, I don't know if it can all fit through here. Well, it's not happening yet. Let's put down a stream gauge so we can measure if the water level is rising or falling. That does look to me like it is draining. Like you can see the height here doesn't seem to be going up. Is it? Well, maybe. Now it looks like it might be going up. Maybe. It seems to be averaging 0.25. It's kind of going up and down. You know, it does look like it's working. It's not going up. Kind of ebbing and flowing, but it is flowing. And you can see here, that's full. There's no more bad water fitting in that pipe. And look at this, even though we're sending it all through here, these trees are still green. I love it. And you know what this means? Our valley down here is safe. So we could start flooding this in the river or making the river deeper, damming it up here. All those are options now. Okay, that's an interesting technique. I've never tried that approach before, but it's a very discreet way of getting bad tide off the edge of the map. Only a couple days into this bad tide, and I see that they've already finished all the platforms in our tunnel. And I think with that, we can just fill in everything with impermeable floors. So we don't have to use the bridges or cranes here. The stairs will work just fine, but we do have to make sure we get all of the bottoms here. We can't be missing anything. Given that we have all the supplies for this, I think we're going to finish this in time. They only have this little stretch of levees here, which will go quick, and then these impermeable floors, I think they're pretty quick to lay. They only take one metal block. With that though, I am noticing we have even more unemployed beavers. Well, I have been waiting for that because what we can do is put down another hauling post. I think we could make use of it. And they'll just make this one like a low priority workplace. They'll just make everybody else more efficient. So as you can see, they're finishing up the impermeable floors under here. And with 4 days to go, I'm thinking they are going to finish that. One thing I have done though is to save the beavers from walking so far to get supplies, I'm going to have the haulers bring in some of the metal blocks here for them. See if it can save them some walking. I probably should have done that way earlier when they're building the platforms, I just kind of forgot. There you go, you can see them making use of that new supply now. Just grabbing everything right there, and then a couple of them are going off the edge of the bridge here, just to finish up the last pieces. Another thing I'm noticing, our food I think has slowly been inching downwards. So on the near horizon, we're gonna have to do something about that. That's what this is gonna be for, the valley. The valley is gonna be turned green at some point. That's what this water is here for. All this is gonna be farmland. And oh, it looks like they finished everything up here too. Oh, with that, this is looking complete. Oh, and before I forget, I am going to splurge and put those statues down there. I know they won't give any meaningful happiness to the beavers because they can't get to them, but I still like the look of them. Well, while I'm spending on this for the statues, maybe I should give kind of an extra feature for the beavers at home too. Maybe we can give an exercise plaza right downtown that's close to their home. You know, we've only got half a day left and we've got all these excess beavers. Why don't we go down to the end of our valley here and just put in one additional floodgate. Now that we know that this water is always going to be good, I think we can afford to keep it nice and pristine. And then we're just going to make a little path all the way down to get to it. And we're back to the good season. Now this is going to take a little bit of time to get everything topped off, but I'm very eager to see our new dam in action. And there is our tunnel looking very imposing. And I think if we just zoom in and look down, we can see all the way through to the other side. Very cool. That is what I wanted when I built this. Day 3, everything is topped off. Well, let's go ahead and start filling in the new dam. Oh, that looks a little polluted and also slower than I was expecting. Oh, that looks faster. I think it was this sluice gate I had in between. I had it closed above a certain water height. I think that was just slowing everything down. Well, we'll have at least 3 days of this open all the way. So if we're lucky, we might actually get to fill it up all the way. And I'll stop maybe near the end, just so that we have enough time to fill this up for like on the last day. With the drought in 3 days, you can see we've managed to get that new dam filled all the way to the brim. In fact, we've got everything nice and topped off. I'm pretty happy with where we ended up here. The new pressurized container was pretty good. I was happy that the bad water is able to make use of our new pipe. And with all this extra water, I think we've got some pretty good options. But seeing our food continue to kind of inch down, I think we're at a point where we should probably start investing in terraforming this. Also, seeing that we're almost exhausting this water supply for everything it's got, I think these other water sources are going to be on the horizon. With that said, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. As always, I hope you enjoy these videos, and I hope to catch you next time.